What if I told you that while the world faced its hottest year on record, banks actually increased their fossil fuel funding by a staggering 25%? The numbers behind this climate betrayal will shock you. We're about to expose how global banks completely abandoned their climate promises, pumped nearly $870 billion into oil, gas, and coal projects, and why American banks are leading this alarming trend. You'll discover the devastating impact these decisions are having on communities worldwide and what this means for our planet's future. The financial world just delivered a brutal reality check on climate action. In 2024, the world's largest banks committed $869 billion to fossil fuel projects. That's a massive surge of $162 billion compared to the previous year. This 25% increase completely erased years of declining fossil fuel investments we'd seen since 2021. Think about this. In a single year, banks reversed all the progress made in reducing fossil fuel financing. Here's where it gets truly alarming. American banks are absolutely dominating this fossil fuel funding spree. 4 of the 5 biggest fossil fuel financiers are United States institutions: JPMorgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo. Together, these 4 banks alone account for nearly 1/3 of the world's total fossil fuel financing. JPMorgan Chase leads the pack, pouring $53.5 billion into fossil fuels in 2024. They've held this shameful title of world's top fossil fuel funder since at least 2021. What makes this surge particularly outrageous is the timing and hypocrisy involved. Many of these same banks had previously made public climate commitments and joined global climate finance coalitions. Yet in 2024, several major banks quietly rolled back or completely abandoned these pledges. This retreat coincided with political changes, including the United States withdrawing from the Paris Agreement and exiting climate finance coalitions. Banks essentially used politics as cover to abandon their environmental responsibilities. The scale becomes even more staggering when we examine the bigger picture. Since the Paris Agreement was signed in 2016, the world's 65 largest banks have provided a mind-blowing $7.9 trillion in fossil fuel financing. Of the $869 billion committed in 2024, $429 billion went specifically toward fossil fuel expansion projects like new oil fields, pipelines, and coal facilities. Here's what makes this criminal. The International Energy Agency has repeatedly stated that no new fossil fuel projects are compatible with reaching net zero emissions by 2050. Yet banks are funding exactly these prohibited projects. The human cost extends far beyond financial numbers. Bank-financed fossil fuel projects are causing increased pollution and health risks for communities, particularly affecting vulnerable populations in the United States. In developing countries like Mozambique, oil and gas megaprojects are displacing entire communities and destroying local livelihoods. This $869 billion investment essentially locks in decades more fossil fuel dependence, making it nearly impossible to achieve the emissions reductions scientists say we desperately need. The 2024 surge represents a complete betrayal of climate commitments, with American institutions leading this dangerous retreat from environmental responsibility. If this concerns you, subscribe for more updates on how financial decisions are shaping our climate crisis.